Original post, June 16, 2024. Last December, my fiancé 25 male, and I, 23 female, became engaged. The engagement itself was very unexpected, and felt very sudden, as we had only been dating for 2 years since. However, I accepted, as I love him, and I couldn't imagine a future without him in it. Since our engagement, we've had several wedding-related conversations, and I've expressed to him numerous times that I would like to keep my maiden name, and not adopt his. The reason for this is that my parents never had any sons, and I am an only child. I want to carry on the family name for my parents, and I want my children to have the choice of which last name they want to go by. I've expressed all of this to my fiancé, and he complied, and reassured me that he was okay with my decision on the matter. As the wedding draws closer, I received a call from the cake planner last night regarding our cake, which we had met with him and designed a few weeks prior. He informed us that he had a sample prepared for us to come and see, so we drove there the next morning to sample it. Needless to say, I was a bit shocked when he pulled out the cake, which had the words Mr. and Mrs. Smith, my husband's last name, printed on top. Thinking it was an accident, though I had strictly told him just to write Mr. and Mrs. on the cake, I asked him to correct it for the final wedding cake for our wedding, which was in 2 weeks. He informed me that my fiancé had called him yesterday morning and had asked him to include Smith on top, along with the previous initials. On the car ride home, my fiancé informed me that he was not comfortable with me keeping my last name, and that he had had a conversation with his mother 2 days prior, in which she informed him it was feminine, weak, and woke for him to comply to my wishes, and that he was signing himself up for an abusive marriage. Talking with the rest of the wedding planning staff, I found out he also instructed that the table centerpieces, official handouts, etc. all be changed to have Mrs. and Mr. Smith on them instead of our separate last names, with the help from his mother. After our argument, I informed him that I would call off the wedding if he did not comply with my wishes, and that I didn't want his mother attending our wedding ceremony either way. He moved out and refuses to talk to me since. Am I the asshole? Relevant comments. Comment 1. Can I ask how this wasn't apparent before? Has there never been any hard conversations? Any disagreement that your finance talked to his mom and followed what she said? Regardless, for my wife and I, family is important, and if we couldn't get along with each other's families it would be a deal breaker. There can't be a your family or me situation. You guys have to be in agreement on how to navigate family issues while supporting each other and maintaining a healthy relationship. OP, I have no idea. We've had many conversations about this topic as well as political beliefs, religion, etc., and he claimed to align with everything I did. Only recently has he started coming out with polar opposite views and sneaking around. He's shown some slight jealousy of me in the past, which I suppose could be a red flag. I'm a model, and he frequently brings it up in conversation that he's insecure about it. But other than that, everything else has been really minor problems. His mom, she has a history of interference. Comment 2, not the asshole. That right there is a guy who's trying to marry his mom, not you. That's not a bullet, that's a nuke, and you best dodge it. Think about how he and his mother will try to control your life and your future children's lives. Run girl run. OP, I really thought I loved him, and I just don't know anymore. I can't imagine a future being tied down to a man who doesn't agree with me, though. Comment 3, your conscience is right. Imagine how much say he and his mother would allow a woke whore over whether she went out to work and had financial independence, over how to raise any children, over whether to have children. Cut yourself loose, your conscience won't do you wrong. OP, you're right, his mother is definitely not my cup of tea, and while I thought I could ignore it, this is definitely over the line. Comment 4, he called you a whore, he doesn't love or respect you. That alone would be a deal breaker for me. Run while you still can. Throw a I dodged a bullet party in place of the reception. Or have the food donated to a local homeless shelter. OP, giving the food to a homeless shelter is an awesome idea. Thank you, smile, I'll definitely check it out. Comment 5, I'm stuck on the cake thing. Bakers don't bake an entire wedding cake as a sample. Did you actually buy 2 cakes? OP, the baker was a fairly close acquaintance of ours, and he baked a very small-scaled model of what our cake would look like for us, so we could better visualize it in comparison with the rest of our decor. He went above and beyond, and the model-sized cake was delicious. The lettering, however, was not. Update 1, June 17, 2024. Yesterday evening, I made the decision to text my fiancé and call off the wedding. I texted him the following message. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that the wedding is off. Please inform your relatives and friends that the only Mrs. Smith they will find standing near the aisle will be your mom. I will mail back your ring to your mother's address, but please do not get in touch with me after this, or this woke whore will take your sorry ass to court." To which he responded with a long profession of his love, including several, "I didn't mean it," as well as, "It was an accident." I left this message on read, and comfortably blocked his number. However, I didn't expect to receive a call from his mother an hour later, who ran her mouth at me over the phone, called me crazy, and informed me that she was going to make my life a living hell for what I did to her son. I already made plans to change my lock and install a front porch camera, but should I be doing anything else to protect myself? I am also receiving nasty messages from my ex-fiancé's friends, threatening me for my decision. I plan to donate any food to a nearby homeless shelter, and I like another user's idea to contact the baker and have the lettering changed to woke whore instead. I will also contact any of my own friends and family about the cancellation and give my best explanation, as well as canceling the venue, photographer, etc. Thank you all. Relevant comments. Comment 1, good for you. I would keep any messages and voicemails and take them to the police for a restraining order. She seems unhinged. I'd also make a simple post or send a message that anyone interested in trying to harass you will have some explaining to do to the police. You literally dodged a bullet and good for you for not putting up with that. OP, thank you. I've already printed out several screenshots and recorded voicemails just in case I need them in the unfortunate event that this escalates even more. Comment 2, do you have a friend or family member who can come stay with you for a few days? Just in case ex or mommy shows up? OP, I do. My parents will be staying with me until I can install new locks and cameras. Comment 3, might be a good idea to go stay with family until you get the cameras set up. Up to you if you want to unblock him, but leave him on read to gather more evidence, just in case you do have to take this to the police. Unsure how unbalanced his family and friends are, but may want to notify your work that this is going on so they can be mindful as well. Hopefully, this is all overkill, but better to be safe than sorry. Treat it like a divorce. Record yourself gathering anything of his that was at your place and have someone else deliver it to him. OP, my work is going to be one of my biggest concerns. I work at an agency that I do modeling work for, and I've been doxxed because of it in the past, and forced to move. I may talk to my employer there, whom I am very close with, just so he is aware of the situation. I will keep this all in mind, thank you. Update 2, 12 hours later. My ex-fiancé's mom just now texted me, informing me that my fiancé had been cheating with a girl from his high school during the entire length of our relationship. In her text, she included several suggestive screenshots of conversations my fiancé and said girl had together. I left her on read, my self-esteem is crushed. Everything else was just the icing for this massive slice of crap cake. I have never felt more confused, used, broken, and betrayed as I do right now. I feel so physically sick I want to die. Relevant comments. Commenter, wow. Your fiancé and his mom are a real piece of work. I'm so sorry that you are being made to suffer in this way by them. Hopefully, you can find the time to reflect on how much better your life will be without these toxic, woman-hating people in your life. Even if it is not the life you thought it was going to be, it will be a better one. And a million congrats to you for having the courage to call off a wedding so late and last minute, for not caving to his weak attempts to apologize, and for withstanding the harassment from his friends and family. You are such a strong person, you are already so much better off, and you will be even happier and better off as time goes on. OP, thank you, that means a lot. It sounds like either way, I was always plan B in my fiancé's life. The only plan B I'm willing to take is a pill to prevent myself from having kids and subjecting them to this POS father. Story 2, am I the asshole for refusing to jump the broom at my wedding? Original post, June 1, 2024. Hi everyone. I'm 33 female, and black, soon to be married to my boyfriend, 29 male, who's white. We're getting married in October. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 1. I was born and raised in Kenya, and I moved to the States to attend university. My fiancé is from Wyoming, and his parents still live there. My fiancé and his parents don't have the best relationship. I've only met them a few times since we've been together. His mother always asks to come visit, but my fiancé finds excuses to stop her from coming. He's very introverted and his mother and father are a lot personality-wise, so I understand why he keeps his distance. After hearing about our engagement, my fiancé's mother insisted on helping with the decorations for the wedding. She's an interior decorator. I told her that she could design the centerpieces, but everything else would be handled by the wedding planner. She begrudgingly agreed, and I thought that was the end of it. She flew in a few weeks after that to discuss wedding plans. She showed me a few of her centerpiece designs, and then showed me the real reason why she came. The brooms. At first, I didn't understand why she was showing me a bunch of elaborate brooms. She had a whole file showcasing about 50 types of brooms. I kept thinking that the venue we had chosen didn't need different fancy brooms everywhere because it's a modern venue. The brooms really wouldn't fit into the theme that we were going for. I guess she saw the confusion on my face because she asked if I already had a broom in mind because she was really hoping we could pick one out together. I told her that the cleaning staff at the venue would do an excellent job beforehand, so bringing a broom would not be necessary. She laughed and said, "I'm talking about picking out a broom to jump over during the ceremony. I'm not normally this dense. I know the history of jumping the broom in African American history, but I'm from Kenya. We don't jump the broom in Kenya, and I would feel uncomfortable jumping the broom because it's not a part of my culture and my fiancé is very white. I just didn't think that my white mother-in-law would be so insistent on us jumping the broom." She was downright beaming when she showed me more broom photos. I told her that I was uncomfortable with jumping the broom and gave her my reasons. My fiancé stepped in and said that he was uncomfortable as well. His mother was pissed. She said the whole reason she came here was to pick out brooms, and now our wedding won't have any culture. I told her that we could incorporate some of my tribe's traditions if she wanted to add some culture to my wedding. I mentioned a Kenyan choir that was going to be singing at our wedding, not to mention the very traditional food that would be served, but she wouldn't budge on that broom, and how without it, we were turning our backs on my culture. I finally snapped and told her that we could always go the dowry route. Her side of the family could scrounge together a few goats and some cows, and we'd call it even. She turned red and stomped off. She left after a day of the silent treatment. I thought she would cool down a bit, and we could be cordial. My fiancé told me that would never happen. He was right. A few weeks ago, my fiancé's mother made a post on Facebook. She decided to make her own custom broom herself, and made a post on Facebook condemning me and my refusal to jump the broom. She went on and on about how I was turning away from my roots, and how she slaved for weeks on a broom that will never be jumped over. I've received countless messages from her friends and family calling me an asshole. My fiancé's dad has called my fiancé and I ungrateful. My fiancé is livid and wants to boot her out of the wedding and cut contact, but now most of his side is refusing to come to the wedding to show solidarity with his mother. So, am I the asshole? Relevant comments. Comment 1. Not the asshole. Respond to her Facebook post and tell her that you are confused about her desire to embrace your culture, but your family is all from Kenya, and in fact, you are from there. And it is an insult to ask to jump a broom when this is not your culture and never has been. That jumping the broom is a Black American culture. That you were more than happy not to force your fiancé's family to provide a dowry in order to marry you as is your cultural tradition. I'd even throw in drinking goat blood just to gross her out. But broom jumping has nothing to do with your traditions for thousands of years. And it is insulting to not only you but the rest of your family. And you are sure that the last thing she would want is to offend half the people attending the wedding. OP. You're absolutely right. I've decided to sit down in a few hours and just put it all out there in a Facebook post. I'm ready to just go full scorched earth at the moment. I'll even be petty and include the fact that she has wished me a happy Kwanzaa for the last 2 years, even though I've told her numerous times that my family celebrates Christmas. The weird thing is that she has never asked me anything about my culture. I've offered to show her a few things about it, but I think once my fiancé told his mother that I was black and from Kenya, she heard African American, and just said screw it to the Kenyan part. Comment 2. Not the asshole. Don't be a pushover, especially when your husband is having your back. Listen to your gut. It's your wedding. Who cares who goes? Your husband clearly loves you. You're marrying him, not others. If that matters more to you, you should not be getting married. OP. I love him. I just didn't want to be the one that finally caused him to cut ties with his family, especially right before our wedding. It's why I've been in the mode of keeping the peace instead of a more confrontational mode. My fiancé and I talked about all of this last night, and he told me that this incident was just the straw that broke the camel's back. He has no problem cutting ties with his family, and honestly, that has been such a relief to hear. Comment 3. Okay, she complained she slaved over making the broom? She is embarrassing herself. She doesn't understand the difference between African American and African? You can make a response that jumping the broom is an American tradition rooted in our nation's history. It is very sad how she thought she was being so progressive that she knew about jumping the broom to now lecturing to you about being black. OP. It took her forever to understand that I was actually born and raised in Kenya. She thought I took an ancestry DNA test, which showed that I have Kenyan roots. I have a slight accent that gets stronger if I get emotional or if I talk with certain people. I guess she didn't hear the accent when I first met her, which probably strengthened her belief in me being born and raised in the US. It wasn't until I pulled out my passport and talked about 90% of my family still living in Kenya that things started to click for her a little, but not everything obviously. Update 1, June 12, 2024. Hi everyone. It's been about a week and a half since my first post, and a few things have happened. I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. Everyone was so nice and helpful, which helped me solidify the fact that I was not an asshole. I decided to be petty last week, so I sat down and wrote a rebuttal post to my future mother-in-law's Facebook post about my refusal to jump over her customized handmade broom that she had slaved over for weeks. A lot of people who commented on my last post clocked the slaved over line she used. I went back and counted the times she used the word slaved in her Facebook post. She used the word over 10 times. Her post was only 2 paragraphs long. I won't write my full post here, but it touched on me being Kenyan and not African American several times. In caps. I decided to tag all of her friends and family that had sent me private messages condemning my refusal to jump over her custom broom. I reiterated the fact that in true tradition of my tribe, a dowry would be expected from the groom's family. I mentioned that they could send their goats, cows, and chickens to my future mother-in-law's house if they so felt inclined to make a contribution. I also wrote the post in both English and Swahili to really hammer down the point that I'm from Kenya. I may or may not have called my future mother-in-law a racist cow at the end. In a polite way though. Since my Facebook post, all hell has broken loose. I knew that my post wouldn't win any of my fiancé's family over to my side, but I didn't realize that my future mother-in-law had so much pull. After my post, I blocked and unfriended all of my fiancé's family minus a few members who had always been in my corner. I had only added most of them because of the wedding anyway, so no love lost there. A few days later, my fiancé's sister texted me and told me that her mother had doubled down. She recruited a bunch of her family and friends to make their own brooms in solidarity with her. There are about 7 brooms in total now, all made from different family members, I guess to make my mother-in-law feel better. I've seen pictures. They're all horrendous. One of them says, "Future mother-in-law is not a racist," on the handle. She's been calling and texting my fiancé non-stop since my Facebook post, and so has his dad, but he hasn't given them the time of day. He sent them one text telling them that they've gone too far, and he needs space, lots of space. As for the upcoming wedding, we have decided to accept my fiancé's family's plan to boycott. Most of their invitations have been revoked, including the invitations extended to my future mother and father-in-law. They'll probably still show up to the wedding, but we have security. My fiancé and I have decided to go low contact with his side of the family. He has blocked his parents, and slowly moved to no contact in a few months. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Not the asshole. I would totally give you a fainting goat for your dowry. Who needs another broom? I will never understand why people have such a hard time with other cultures and refuse to learn new things when they are wrong/don't know about the culture. I hope your wedding is beautiful and peaceful. Comment 2. Exactly. I am Kenyan. We don't jump any brooms here. Dowry is a thing. The day of the wedding, the groom's family go to the bride's family home to convince them to let them take her to the wedding. This is done with a lot of song and jest. Also, we have 42 tribes and each tribe has different ways of doing things. What I described is from the Kikuyu people. It is only a snapshot. Mother-in-law should have sat OP down and asked her about her culture in the first place. OP. I'm Kikuyu. I tried to be vague on here regarding the dowry requirements, but yes, this is all true. I tried to sit down with my future mother-in-law and talk about my culture, but she wouldn't have it. Her mind was set on me and her very white son jumping the broom. Comment 3. That's on her. You need to remind her that you are not obligated to follow what she perceives to be your culture. Tell you what. I will go online and look for Kikuyu marriage rights. If you need a broom saying you aren't racist, there is a good chance you probably are. Also, is the broom thing even still a thing? I have never heard of anyone doing that. And what did OP's mother-in-law think having her family also make brooms was going to do? Like, even if OP changed her mind, she wasn't going to jump all of them. Anyway, that's all we have for this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.